Test, test, test. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? It's Kyle Henderson, Tony Sukalis coming in to you from Voodoo Wings. This is Voodoo Wings here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Now opens. Come check them out. Tell them BamaInsider.com sent you. As Tony said in the preview show, which was 2 minutes long, they got $2 specials on $2 tall boys, 16 ounce on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're gearing up for Alabama and New Mexico State. I got my Zia symbol on this because I'm from New Mexico. I went to New Mexico State. It's people have been dogging me a little bit on the website, Tony.
Yeah, it's officially Kyle Hate Week. It'll be over in a couple of days. So, yeah, but we've been kind of razzing Kyle pretty good on the site. And the fans have had a little bit of fun with that, I think.
Yeah, I think it's been good. I think, obviously you want to get at the moderator. I don't like to be called moderator. Like on the message board, I think it's like they're always referring us to the mods. We're the staff, all right? We're the staff of BamaInsider.com.
I don't know.
You could call into the show. 205-686-3604 is the number to call in. My name is Kyle Henderson. He's Tony Sukalis, along with Angie Bowen. Make up BamaInsider.com. Taking your calls tonight. I want to get your score prediction for Alabama and New Mexico State. Last line that I saw was 54.5 that Alabama was favored by. The kickoff is at 3 o'clock. It's supposed to be 98 at 3 p.m. So obviously that is going to be brutal.
We'll be in a nice air-conditioned press box, in case anyone's wondering.
But didn't Vern say that you could bring your Yeti, or what was it?
Apparently you can bring. They'll have water stations, and you can bring in, a Yeti cooler cup or something like that, and you'll be able to refill it. That'll be nice for fans. It's going to be definitely important that they stay hydrated because it's going to be hot. So if you do go, make sure to wear sunscreen and stay hydrated because it is going to be a warm one out there.
Coming to you from Voodoo Wings, telling BamaInsider.com sent you 16-ounce tall boys on Tuesdays and Thursdays all day long. Come get your drink on and prep with us as we get you going for the week of college football. This week, Alabama takes on New Mexico State following a 42-3 win over the Duke Blue Devils in Atlanta, Georgia. Tony and I were there. Tony, I think when we look at this team, they started so many freshmen, 3 on the defensive side, and they did well for the most part. I mean, were you surprised by that, or what was your assessment of some of these freshmen early on?
You have to be a little bit surprised, especially with how seamless the inside linebackers, looked during the opener. Shane Lee, Christian Harris, they both looked really good. They didn't look like freshmen. Yeah. And that was still an ACC opponent, still a Power 5 opponent. Say what you will about Duke, but, that was, not the worst competition. So I think the challenge this week will be just to see how they carry it over. It's easy to get hyped up for a season opener. It's a little bit harder to maintain that focus, maintain, that execution in a week 2 game where, let's face it, the opponent's not the same, and maybe, you could let things slip.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with the play of Christian Harris. I figured Shane Lee would do his thing. I think that I've just been impressed with him all fall camp. I wanted to see what Christian Harris would really do come game time, and I know Nick Saban had been really impressed with him during fall camp, so I wasn't doubting what Nick Saban said. I just wanted to see him in game action, and after watching the game and rewatching the game, as I like to do, he did a great job, especially in coverage. I think he's just such an athletic guy, and the great thing about those 2 inside linebackers is the fact that they're both around 250 pounds, super athletic, and they're going to get a lot of experience before Alabama really hits the brunt of their schedule, which will be later on in the season. I know Alabama's on the road next week against South Carolina. So I think, they're certainly going to get experience before, those bigger games hits. But we were talking about this today, Tony. Do you think that this front-end schedule, because it's been soft, it's light, at least on paper, do you think that will bode well for the Crimson Tide later on in the season, or do you think that's going to affect them because they really haven't played anybody up to that point? Let's talk mid-season when they do take on Texas A&M at Kyle Fields.
Yeah, at the beginning of the at the beginning of the preseason when everyone was healthy, I think I would have said that maybe the easy schedule at first would be hard because hard to maintain focus and maybe doesn't give you enough tests for later on in the season. But with the injuries Alabama's had, it's kind of a blessing for Alabama because they get to break in some of these players. You know, you'll get multiple games under Shane Lee and Christian Harris and DJ Dale's belt. They'll still be freshmen, but they'll be less so by the time that they play A&M and more so LSU and Auburn and those games that can really test them later on in the season.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point in the fact that, especially from, I guess, a kicking perspective, you know, we talked about Will Reichard, who was 0 for 2, big field goals that he attempted and missed, one from 48, one from 49. He's going to have an opportunity to not only to develop some sort of a kicking rhythm, get some game kicking, but he's also punting. He's also kicking. He's kicking off. I mean, he's doing a lot of work out there for a true freshman.
He is doing a lot of work, and I think, you know, during his radio show tonight, Nick Saban said that Skylar DeLong's going to handle more of the punting duties Saturday. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to, you know, take some of the workload off of Will Reichard. It's not something on a game-to-game basis that's hard to do, but it is something that the more you do it throughout the season, you can wear out your leg. So it is good to have somebody else doing at least one of those roles. And I think it might fall in an ideal world for Alabama. Maybe Skylar DeLong handles the punting duties.
We're coming to you from Voodoo Wings, now open in Tuscaloosa. You got to come try their killer wings. I mean, they are, I would say they're tops in the city, and there's some good wings out here. The address is 1306 University Boulevard, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 35401. Tell them BamaInsider.com sent you. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, they got some Tall Boy specials, 16 ounces all day long, all domestic. So come and get your Tall Boy on and get some wings at Voodoo Wings. We tried the wings recently, Tony. Tony and I did after the show, right?
Actually, I'm not just saying that. They are really good.
No.
Yeah.
So Tony went with the Voodoo Wings, which is it's like a sriracha, right?
Yeah, like a sriracha soy-based kind of sauce. It's got a little bit of a different kick, and I liked that. It was pretty good. I
went with the I'm a big garlic parmesan guy, so I went with the garlic parmesan, and it was solid. But I have to tell you, while the wings are really good, no kidding, I mean, they're really good. The banana pudding that they have is seriously, it's unbelievable. I mean, come bless yourself with some banana pudding and grab a couple of them to go because they're seriously delicious. So tell them BamaInsider.com sent you. I'm here talking Alabama and New Mexico State. I mean, obviously there's not really much to talk about. I mean, it is what it is. Tony's working on a story that'll be published on September 6th. That's Friday, that you can read at BamaInsider.com. Kind of talks about the back end of why New Mexico State is in such a financial burden, and can you tell us a little bit about that? Because if you don't know, they're getting paid $1.7 million to come play in this game.
Yeah, I just kind of took a little bit of a dive into. I mean, everyone knows that they're coming for the $1.7 million, but there's a little bit of some, you know, factors of, you know, what put New Mexico State in that position to do it, and then also just how do two teams on opposite sides of the college football spectrum even find each other. Mm-hmm. You know, not everyone knows how these schedules get put together, and it's a little bit interesting just to see how, you know, the back works and some of the, you know, programs that are designed to help these two teams, you know, kind of find each other and how schedules are really made, because it's really complicated in some instances. There's a lot more that goes into it than just college X finds college Y and schedules a game. There's a lot that goes into it, and it can be kind of topsy-turvy. So whenever you're wondering Saturday, well, why are these two teams playing, hopefully this story will kind of shed light on some of that.
And if you missed it, I graduated from New Mexico State, so you know it's random. Number one, that I live in Tuscaloosa now, and number two, it's even more random that New Mexico State is coming to Tuscaloosa to play the Alabama Crimson Tide. Because as Tony said, two completely opposite spectrums. You're looking at a program that just went to their first bowl game in 57 years. And I talked about this on the podcast with Jason Groves, Las Cruces Sun News, about my experience watching the New Mexico State Aggies play the Utah State Aggies in the Arizona Bowl not too long ago. So very memorable experience for me because I never saw them play in a bowl game before. And here I am now, you know, covering the Crimson Tide. I think when you look at this team overall on the offensive side, Tony, and at least, you know, from the start of it, under Steve Sarkisian's offense, we saw what Steve Sarkisian said would be a highly efficient passing tree. And we saw a lot of that from Tua Tagovailoa. It wasn't these long gains that we were accustomed last year these big home run balls that were thrown to these explosive wide receivers. This time around, where at least in game one, we saw Sarkisian really have to connect with these receivers and let the receivers kind of do the rest once they caught the football. Were you impressed with the offense from a schematic standpoint in week one?
I think obviously, before you talk about the passing game, I think everyone's wanting more success with the running game. But Alabama took what Duke gave them, and that was the short passes, and they, really exploited Duke with those. I mean, Alabama has some really athletic receivers that can do a lot of stuff in open space, and so really all you have to do is get them the ball. You get Jerry Jeudy the ball in open space, he's going to get you, 10 extra yards every time. So if that's the way, Alabama can beat you in multiple ways, and I think they showed that against Duke. It's not always the home run ball.
Sure.
It can be a 10-yard pass or even a 3-yard pass that turns into a 15-yard pass, and they have the capabilities to really do that.
You can call into the show, 205-686-3604. You can make a score prediction, get an opportunity to win a gift card to Alumni Hall, and also come into Voodoo Wings. I mean, that's where we're coming to you from. Good wings. From what we've heard, I mean, it's been nonstop here. I mean, they've had a great turnout, and everybody's excited about the location because I think they could really make a dent in the wing market where they're at. Very good wings. So tell them BamaInsider.com sent you. And remember, on Tuesdays and on Thursdays, you get 16-ounce tall boys all day long. So come and get your tall boy on and talk Alabama Crimson Tide football. You probably see us here because we're here Thursday nights. The run game. I mean, I wouldn't call it necessarily run game woes, but I think, and actually some Aggies just rolled in, actually.
I think they're from the Texas variety, though.
These are Texas A&M
I don't
Aggies.
know why but yeah.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, just coincidental.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't necessarily run game woes, I would say, but I think none of us were really impressed with the running game. I don't know. Like I rewatched the game and I did like what Najee did. I did see what Nick Saban was talking about. Sometimes he didn't follow his tight end and kind of bumped off. But I don't know what to really make of the run game. I think we'll find out more tomorrow. But will we really? Because they're playing.
I don't know if we really will, because
I
think Alabama's going to be in a situation where they can do anything they really want to.
Yeah.
So you might see more run game success, but it won't mean anything. I'm not going to say it won't mean anything, but you really can't gauge it until they play probably a more competitive game. So maybe you'd be able to gauge it better against South Carolina in an extra week.
Yeah, that's a game where I will be staying back in Tuscaloosa. Tony will be on the road in Columbia. I mean, not to look past this game, but I mean, it is what it is. Tony, as we look to that first big game in Alabama's first SEC game, I mean, South Carolina, I mean, you probably haven't looked at them much, but I did. I mean, it looks like they have a formidable running game, so I'm eager to see how the how the linebackers fare against South Carolina. But then again, they lost to North Carolina in the opener, and then they lost their starting quarterback, Jake Bentley. He's out for the season.
So at one point, I think that might have been a game that you cover, but circle, but. I don't know. I don't really think that one's going to be that competitive either. I think you're really looking at Texas A&M for the first time they get tested. I don't want to, I don't want to say never, but it seems like that Texas A&M game is really the one that you would circle as something that could be competitive for Alabama.
Saban would be so pissed if he's listening to this, because like every single game is is like monumental. But I mean, look at the schedule.
Here.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Look at this. New Mexico State, they're a 54-point favorite. South Carolina, they're still a 21-point favorite. Then they play Southern Miss, another double-digit favorite.
An Ole Miss team that lost to Memphis.
Oh, Ole Miss. Hey, was
so
it
you're
true?
You're playing the South Carolina team that lost to North Carolina and an Ole Miss team that lost to Memphis. So let's be honest here.
And did you see that Matt Corral and the Ole Miss's head coach said, like, I think they had to be separated. Or like Matt Corral said that the play calling was trash or something. So they're in a world of hurt. Then they take on Texas A&M on October 12th. Tennessee, Arkansas. I mean,
those are two easy games too.
Tennessee,
the SEC is kind of top heavy right now. I think it's safe to say that
there's super top heavy.
I think that there's some really. I'm not really trashing the SEC because I think that there's some really good teams in the top half. But if you look at the Arkansas, the Ole Miss, the Tennessee, it's rough. Missouri was supposed to be. People were talking about Missouri winning the East, and then they lose their opener. So.
Hey,
there's some good teams in the SEC, but there's also some really bad teams.
call into the show, 205-686-3604. DJ, I know you're out there, man. Call into the show. You're a good caller, man. And DJ's actually was a YouTube subscriber, turned Bama Insider subscriber. So DJ knows what's up. He's always on the recruiting board. I see you, DJ. Call into the show, 205-686-3604. Make a prediction. I want to see what you think for tomorrow.
How about 70-0? Somebody picked the 70-0 scoreline.
That was brutal. I know. But, I mean, it's
for
just...
For those that don't know, Kyle picked the 70-0 scoreline.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal. But, I mean, come on. They're playing Alabama tomorrow. I seriously do not think they'll score a touchdown.
Yeah, but 70 points. I mean, at one point... I don't know. I think that's a little harsh on your alma mater.
I know. It's rough. But, hey, they have an opportunity to prove me wrong tomorrow. So, looking forward to seeing what the Aggies can do. In all honesty, I hope the program can continue to get on track. I mean, as you know, they're getting paid 1.7 by Alabama, 1.3 by Ole Miss, and then somehow
1.5 by Ole Miss.
1.5
and already made
600, right?
So I think
from Mike Leach. From Mike
I'm bad
Leach,
at math, but I think it goes to 3.8 million.
From Mike Leach to Nick Saban in back-to-back weeks, right? All right, there's some predictions right now: 62-0, 58-3.
I think I have 52-0.
Right?
So.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, when you look at, the running game, it was all right. We don't really know. We're not going to find out. Offensive line, I think Chris Owens and Evan Neal, at least from the pro football grades that we looked at, and actually from watching the game, I mean, they struggled at times. Landon Dickerson, it looked like Nick Saban has been pleasantly surprised with him.
The better performers. I think, you looked at Alex Leatherwood looked okay. And then Landon Dickerson looked pretty good in that game as well. So.
And he was getting strangled at one point, Landon. So he's a guy that can clearly get under your skin.
Oh, definitely. And you saw him wave goodbye to the Duke players. So he's becoming a cult hero.
All right,
I
cool.
think we got our first call.
First call of the night is DJ in Ohio. DJ, what's up, man? DJ in Ohio, you're on the line. What's up, DJ?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for calling in. Please give us a score prediction for this Alabama and New Mexico State game.
I think the score would be probably Alabama 59 and New Mexico State 7.
All right, that's fair.
59-7. DJ, what did you think about the run game last week?
I think the run game, it needs work. I think the offensive line has to gel more. It just takes time. But I think they'll be fine. I think Najee Harris, I think that's just his style of running. Just may not fit as well as probably Brian Robinson or somebody. So he always looking to break the big run instead of just hitting it up in the hole.
What's your starting five on the offensive line? If you had to put it together, who do you start on the offensive line?
My starting five will probably be Leatherwood, then the transfer. I can't think of his name.
Dickerson.
All right.
And then I probably put Dante Brown once he come back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I probably have Will. And then I keep the center. That'd probably be my starting five. And then no. I'll take out the center we got now and make the transfer to center. And then put Evan Neal at the other guard.
Okay. All right.
I like that.
So kind of Leatherwood, Deontay Brown, Dickerson. No, Leatherwood, Neal, Dickerson,
Brown, Deontay Brown.
Yeah, Deontay Brown, and then Will. So that's actually
pretty
solid. Yeah, it's a big one too. It's a big offensive line.
Yeah, that's a massive offensive line. Well, DJ, thank you so much for calling in. Thanks for being a subscriber to BamaInsider.com. You're always welcome to call. Thanks for calling, and hopefully the calls start to trickle in. Appreciate it, DJ.
Oh yeah, no problem, guys. I appreciate all the hard work and everything y'all do.
All right,
y'all
man.
Take care.
I'll see you on the recruiting board, DJ. All right, DJ in Ohio, starting the party up. Good dude, always calling in. All right, got some score predictions coming in. You can catch ours on BamaInsider.com. DJ has it 59-7. I think your score was similar, right, Tony? It's like 52
still 52 points,
like
yeah. So 52-0, I think is my score.
Last week, Washington State had over 600 yards against New Mexico State, and they won 58-7.
I think only 3 teams surrendered more yards than New Mexico State did last year.
Yeah, I think on offense they graded out, according to Pro Football Focus, just over 50%, and same thing on the defensive side. Another caller coming in. All right, hello, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson and Tony Sukalis, Voodoo Wings line. Who are we on the line with, and where are you calling from?
What's going on, Kyle? It's Jeff from Buffalo, man. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, man? Good to hear from you again. It's your time of year, man. It's almost the NFL.
Man, I'm just, I don't want to look past opponents, guys, but I don't know. I might have to watch the LSU or Texas game or A&M, Clemson. I don't know, guys. But I think I would say this is that I am looking forward to seeing some improvement from our offensive line. I thought that DJ made a good point. Our offensive line definitely needs to be improved a little bit. I'm looking for more of the I'm looking for more of the second and third string guys. I want to see those guys make an impact there. Matt Jones, I want to see what I saw from him in 8A. I want to see him hopefully get an opportunity in the second half. Hopefully we can see Talia and see some of these other guys like John Mechie and Tyro Shavers get more of the rock and try to gain them some much more experience. Josh Jobe as well, and I know Josh Jobe, he didn't have a good game last week. I would love to see him have a rebound game because when Paxton Tate Jr., if he goes in the star position, Josh Jobe, he's the next man up, so I'm hoping that he can step up there. And, Will Reichert, I know he missed a couple field goals. I know some Bama fans are definitely, letting him have it, but I think that, I thought that overall wise, again, 48, 49 yards in college, that's not very easy to do. I think he'll have a rebounding game and give Bama fans a lot of optimism.
I definitely feel you with Josh Jobe, and I think he's going to get tested a lot because New Mexico State's a team that likes to air it out. So I think it's for him, it's all about just reining it in. I mean, I know he's a really physical player. He's the most physical cornerback Alabama has, and so I think that kind of burned him a little bit. With some pass interference calls. So if he can kind of rein in that intensity and play a little bit more disciplined, I think he's got all the talent to be a really good cornerback. So I do think we'll see a rebound game from him.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, when I watch Josh Jobe is I've seen him struggle in open field tackles at practice. I've seen him struggle in one-on-one coverages, but I don't think they're going to give up on him. I think he has plenty of opportunity and ability to really improve and to be that corner that I think Alabama wants him to be. And I think the positive is when you look at the veteran leadership around him, it's going to give him confidence going into the season. I mean, guys like Xavier McKinney, Jared Maiden, Patrick Surtain, who, by the way, played incredibly well against Duke. On the other side, Trayvon Diggs. Can you imagine getting mentorship from those guys when you're a young gun like Josh Jobe? I think it's only going to bode well for him going forward. So I think Josh Jobe, and especially the fact that he works with Saban daily, right? So, I mean, Saban knows what he's capable of, and Saban wouldn't put him out there if he didn't believe in him. So I think, you're only going to get to see him improve. Anything else while you're on the show, buddy?
Trying to think. Is there anything else?
Who you like? Go ahead.
Oh, what did you say?
I was gonna say you like LSU or Texas.
LSU. I think their offense. I really like their offense. They're running more type of a spread game. They had some West Coast comps as well. I really love their offense.
You believe in Joe Burrow?
I downed him last year. Kyle, but I think bringing an offense that he's pretty much worked with at Ohio State and pretty much bringing that West Coast, that more of that spread type of game to him, I think is going to help. I think a big kicker as well is that Texas, they lost their left tackle, and I think their left tackle was a preseason All-American. So I think losing him when you're going against guys like Cassian, that I think that LSU has more of an advantage. They're more hungrier. Because I know it's Bama, Georgia. So I think they're more hungrier in that game against Texas. I think they get it done.
All right, man. We'll be sure and have to keep updates on that one while we're at our game. But thanks for calling in. You're welcome to call anytime. Please call again Sunday night on the Call-In Show.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right, man. Take it easy, buddy.
You too, man.
All right, 2 calls in. Oh man, there's just like when you have this game against New Mexico State, it's just like people are calling it what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah, but I mean, I would too. I don't know. This is a game. That's all I can say.
what about? Let's switch gears for a little bit. Let's take our focus off Alabama and New Mexico State in this thrilling upcoming matchup. Were you surprised to see Tennessee go down in week 1?
Of course. I mean, yeah, of course. You know, especially because you were kind of looking for Jeremy Pruitt to turn things around. You know, he showed a little bit of encouragement. You know, with some big wins last season, and you know, you thought maybe this season would be the season they get a bowl. You know, and that would be the goal. And you know, after seeing week 1, I'm not saying a bowl game. They could still very well make a bowl game. And it wasn't even an SEC game, so, you know, they could do whatever they, you know, they still have very much of their season in front of them. But you got to be discouraged after that game. You can't be thinking bowl game really right now from what you've seen so far.
I think the funniest part was someone came and posted, it was a tweet. Someone posted it on our site. And it said that what if there were like kind of plot twists or like what if Alabama sent Pruitt over to like tear down Tennessee's program. I thought that was pretty good. What about Florida State losing to Boise State? Willie Taggart on the ropes or?
Buddy, I don't know. That program it's so weird to think that program was in a national championship game not too long ago, and now it is just a middle of the road ACC team.
They're afterthought, right? I mean, it's like complete afterthought.
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought...
It's really similar to Texas, you know, except Texas didn't win the national championship, but a team that got to the national championship and then just nosedived. I mean, they haven't really done... You know, I know Florida State made the playoff the next year, but then they've just really fallen off the map.
Hey, we're coming to you from Voodoo Wings. Bring up the logo. Here in Tuscaloosa. Tell them BamaInsider.com sent you. Every Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can come in and get 16-ounce tall boys, just $2 all day.
Yeah.
Come and get ready for the college football weekend. And if you're here on Thursdays, you'll catch us here, Bama Insider staff. He's Tony Scalis. I'm Kyle Henderson, coming to you from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, always. And Alabama, as you know, opens up as a large favorite against New Mexico State. Game's at 3. I mean, it's going to be hot. It's going to be muggy tomorrow.
Man,
I guess.
You're selling it, man.
I guess. I guess Yetis are allowed, right?
Yeah. There's gonna be, you know, check on Alabama's Twitter for all the details on that. But I don't want to send the wrong thing. But yeah, they are making some exceptions to kind of provide and help fans hydrate themselves. That could actually be an issue with us, how hot it's going to be.
So I think before we hopefully take another call, I think when you look at this team, and could the only thing that stopped this team really be this team itself, or do you think there's someone on the schedule later on that is going to pose a real challenge to this type of Alabama team?
No, there's teams that can beat this Alabama team. I mean, obviously the mentality of the team and the focus has to be there. Mm-hmm. But there'll be teams at the end of the schedule that can give them a run. I mean, I'd like to see where LSU is at that point. Mm-hmm. If Auburn's doing well, Bo Nix, maybe if he's rolling, that's just a tough place to play. Yeah. So that could be a challenge. I'm not saying that Auburn's necessarily at the level that Alabama's at, but if they're anywhere close, that's always a tough game and a tough place to play. If you go to the SEC championship game, you get Georgia. I think that's pretty much a dead even match right now. Yeah. And then obviously anybody in the playoff is going to have gotten there for a reason. So I think that will be a difficult meeting as well. But we're talking months away, so you kind of gotta.
I think like we talked about earlier, that Texas A&M game really jumps out to me just because the way that Kellen Mond played in week 1, and I think the way he played last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, he really torched Alabama's defense, right? I think he ran for over 100 yards. Last week he had some pinpoint throws. A very good quarterback. Jimbo Fisher, would certainly be gunning for Nick Saban. One of these assistants, we talked about it last time on the show, one of these assistants, just a matter of time.
Eventually it's going to happen. I mean, it's foolish to think it's not going to happen at one point. So, I'm not sure if it will happen this year, but it will happen eventually. And I think Texas Tech's probably my best bet. I mean, not Texas Tech, Texas A&M. Sorry, Texas A&M.
The
is
Red
my
Raiders.
Best bet. The Red Raiders aren't beating. I don't know where that came from. I don't know. The Red Raiders are not beating Alabama. No, Texas A&M is is probably the best bet to eventually do it.
Yeah, I mean, I would think Georgia.
Yeah. Well, unless Georgia, yeah.
'Cause Georgia-
you can't really factor that.
Georgia could have more opportunities here coming up with. I mean, I guess if
they still have
were
to make it.
yeah,
It's not a game on the schedule. I was talking about like
yeah.
As far as games on the schedule, and I know that they play Georgia next year too, so maybe that's a good point. But I do like the way Jimbo Fisher's taking that A&M program. I think it, with the resources they have, and I think he's a great coach. So I think that program's on the up, and so it's going to be one that's going to challenge Alabama in the West. I think I wouldn't be surprised actually if that program becomes maybe at one point Alabama's hardest SEC West opponent.
Yeah.
That might be getting ahead of ourselves. We kind of got to see before we can really make that statement. But
now, let me ask you this. So when you look at this team and from the offensive perspective, I mean, Alabama's loaded at pretty much every single position, right? So many wide receivers, plenty of depth at the offensive line, running backs, et cetera. It's like we can go on and on. About the number 2 quarterback in Mac Jones. I mean, he got in for just a small sample size. How confident should Alabama fans be in Mac Jones, in your opinion?
I don't know. I think he can do an adequate job, especially if he can handle the short passes, like Tua could.
It might work out well for him. Very well.
It could.
Yeah.
I don't know. We really haven't seen him in a truly difficult situation yet.
That's true.
So
very true.
Against a quality. I mean, he's played against Alabama's defense on the 8A game, but it was kind of the second team defense, and he didn't really show enough against Duke to judge him one way or the other. I think you'll get some opportunities at some point in this season where you'll see him in some form of an adverse situation, and you'll probably be able to judge him a little bit better during those times. But I don't see why not. I don't see why he couldn't do it. I think he's capable. It's just a case of we've got to see it,
A couple of rapid-fire questions. Most explosive offensive player is on Alabama's team?
After last week, you got to say Jerry Jeudy, but I think Jalen Waddle's also a
decent
shout.
I figured you would say Jalen Waddle. I just think, like, when you get the football out to him, I think same with Jerry Jeudy, geez. But I think, like, Jalen Waddle just has that explosiveness to where you're like, is this dude going to break it on every single time he gets the football?
Right.
How about this? Most undervalued player on defense going into week 2, going into week 3?
Ooh, undervalued player on
like
defense.
Someone that we don't really talk about, but he's very capable, very good. People should probably know about
LeBron Ray.
There you go.
Yeah, that might be a good one. A former number 1 player in the state of Alabama. I think he's gonna, I think that defensive line between him, DJ Dale, and Raekwon Davis could be really good. So he's kind of somebody, DJ Dale stole a lot of headlines, and then obviously Raekwon's the leader of that group. But LeBron Ray's a guy that I think could sneak up and have a really good season.
What about this? Another freshman to know by midseason?
Jordan Battle.
Yeah.
I think he's somebody that I could see really doing well. I know Alabama has a pretty loaded secondary, so I don't know about finding a role. He'll find his way on the field at some point, but might not get a starting role. But he's a guy that, he showed flashes in the opening. He got an interception. So I think that's definitely a guy I'd circle.
And in terms of the tight end unit, Miller Forrestall, Giles Amos,
Major Tennyson.
It looks like a pretty capable group.
Yeah, and Forrestall and Tennyson both got touchdowns last week. So yeah, there's options there, and I think that's encouraging from Alabama's standpoint after losing both their starters and Hale Henches and Irv Smith. So maybe it's not as thin as what you thought before.
Yeah. All right. Tight end, check. Every single position, check, right? It's like, all right. Well, please come to Voodoo Wings. Check them out. Tell them BamaInsider.com sent you. We will catch you guys. Tomorrow, Tony has a great feature coming out. Usually every Friday, Tony has a feature out. So that's kind of the schedule that we have. We're also here Thursdays, Mondays through Wednesdays. You can catch a ton of our team coverage as we're right on campus. Nick Saban's press conference, practice, insider reports, all that stuff. And then Andrew Bone, you'll find his recruiting stuff peppered in there throughout the week. Tony Sukalos, my name is Kyle Henderson. Follow us on Twitter at Bama Insider. Team account does a ton of content, all that stuff. Everything BamaInsider.com. 205-686-3604 is the number. You can call in. You can leave a voicemail to be played next time on the show. I will catch you guys on Saturday for some post-game stuff. We'll get Nick Saban's press conference right up. We'll have a ton of articles and content from the game. And then on Sunday night, I'll have my show as we go into week 3. Coming to you from Tuscaloosa, Alabama at Voodoo Wings. I really like that logo, by the way. Come on in, say hello, and remember, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you got